Hey there, I'm Katie Brown and welcome to the Memorising content module. If you've tried to memorise stuff and found it difficult to retain information, or think you should be able to remember more information, then this module is for you. In this module, we're going to explore a few techniques that will seriously improve your memorisation skills. The key is to find out what technique works best for you. Let's begin by starting off with the simplest technique. Technique 1, the repetition method. This is the easiest one to apply, but sometimes the most difficult to execute because we all get a little lazy sometimes. All you have to do is simply write down what you're learning. The key, however, is to make sure you're not simply copying down everything from the textbook. The trick and difficulty that comes with this method is that you have to develop the art of paraphrasing and write down the content as you understand it. It's also highly recommended that you go about this the old pen and paper way rather than typing it up on a computer or a laptop. There's actually 3 reasons for this. Number 1, by manually writing down your understanding of the material, the physical process of writing it down will force you to think about what you're learning. Number 2, the actual act of writing things down rather than just copying and pasting is the core purpose for the repetition memorization process. Number 3, this method also helps with your writing endurance, which is great practice for those 3-hour exams. So to put this method into practice, let's do an actual exercise. Here's an example from Greek mythology that we can use as the content that we need to memorize. This is the story about the goddess of wisdom, Athena. There was once a girl named Arachne who was a skillful weaver and who challenged the goddess Athena to a test of skill, with the loser agreeing never to touch the spindle and loom. Arachne lost and acknowledged Athena's triumph, but despaired at the loss of her craft. Athena saw that Arachne could not live if she could not weave, so she touched Arachne with the tip of her spear, turning her into a spider so she could weave without spindle or loom. The Greek word for spider is arachne, and this is the origin for the English word arachnid. Now take a pen and paper and rewrite this story into your own words. Go on, I'll wait. No, but seriously, pause this video and then go and write that story out in your own words. Then come back and compare your words to the original. Do they capture the same ideas? If you don't think it does, then try again. You can apply this method to any subject where you need to retain a lot of information, and it's super easy to do. Now we can take this a step further. You know how we said that repetition is good for memorization? What's even better is applying repetition in different forms, not just in writing. If you combine writing with another way of absorbing information, we get even better results. So the next thing you can do is try and vocalize what you're learning. Again, don't just repeat what you saw in your textbook or what you wrote down. Instead, just say it out loud. Imagine that you're explaining the topic back to yourself. Here's another example that we can practice on. This time we'll look at why the auroras or the northern lights happen. The auroras occur in the northern and southern polar regions, and they are caused when the solar wind carrying fast-moving electrons collide with the oxygen and nitrogen gas in our atmosphere. These electrons get caught in the Earth's magnetic field and get funneled to the polar regions of the planet. As they rain into the atmosphere, the electrons impart energy to oxygen and nitrogen molecules, making them excited. When the molecules return to their normal state, they release the energy in the form of light in the beautiful patterns we see. Now take a stab at explaining this to yourself out loud. Don't feel shy, here's my go at explaining it to myself. Auroras are lights that we see in the northern and southern polar regions when electrons from solar wind excite nitrogen and oxygen in Earth's atmosphere, and when the nitrogen and oxygen go back to their normal state, they release an energy as a light that we see as beautiful patterns in our sky. Now there's one more thing that you can do to take this to the next level. You can explain what you're learning to someone else. This is actually one of the best ways of remembering what you're learning. Find a friend, parent, brother, sister, bus driver, maybe not that far, but you get the point. Ask them if you can teach them something and then go about actually trying to teach them what you're learning. If the person you're teaching has no idea about the subject, then that's even better. This means that they'll have more questions and might not even get it the first time. And then you'll have to explain it again in a different way. This makes you reprocess the information that you're learning and repeat it. Both of these things are great ways to help you memorize. When you try to learn something by doing any of these things, your brain starts building new pathways which helps you retain information. And so when the oxygen and the nitrogen go back to their normal state, they release light into the sky, which is how we see the auroras. I don't get it. I don't think you explained it very well. I thought I explained it pretty well. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so anyway, The auroras, okay, let me start again. Okay, so the auroras are in the northern and southern. You might need to slightly step out of your comfort zone when it comes to trying your hand at teaching someone, but the payback you'll receive in being able to remember and retain this information will be worth it in the end. In the next video, we'll explore the ins and outs of creating mind maps. I'll see you there.